What's up, Six Borough Podcast fans? Here we are, back at it again. Episode number 69. Can you believe that? 69 episodes. Who would have thunk? We've come a long way. Let's get into these advertisements first, and then we'll get right into the episode. Guys, we're brought to you by AS Engineering Services. You can reach them at 631-560-0259 or online at www.asengineeringservices.com. Hit them up for any kind of engineering, architectural, any design work that you guys need. They're a full-scale architectural and design company. They do refurbs, new builds, commercial, residential, whatever you want. They can help you out. Awesome guys. We've had some work done by them, and cannot recommend them enough. Again, that's 631-560-0259, asengineeringservices.com. Guys, we're also brought to you by Municipal Land Survey. You can reach them at 631-345-2658. Guys, anytime you need something surveyed, they're the guys. Can't say it enough. They are the best at what they do. No matter what you need it for, hit them up. 631-345-2658. And last, we're brought to you by Keto Fresh, a ketogenic meal delivery service. You can follow them on Instagram at keto.fresh.ny. Guys, this episode we have John Potts, who is a all-around funny guy. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. He is a MMA fighter. He does some commentary. He's also a meme creator. Honestly, guys, this was awesome. We do apologize. We had a little bit of an issue towards the end of the episode. Our studio had to be evacuated due to carbon monoxide. Up until that point, it was highly funny and very worthwhile. But we'll definitely get Mr. Potts back on to finish up this podcast. But we absolutely wanted to release this because it was awesome. All right, guys, we're live. Let's get into it.
Six Borough Podcast. D-Rock.
Yarbs.
Ericott.
And Potts.
John Potts.
John Potts.
John Potts. So Potts is a self-admitted fuckboy.
These are all false allegations, all right?
I can neither confirm nor deny any allegations that are thrown out at this point.
We'll get into the definition of fuckboy in a minute, but so Potts, you're besides being a fuckboy, you're
I can't even sit here and take that seriously. Do fuckboys wear skinny jeans, or we don't know?
I don't know.
They can.
I'm wearing skinny jeans, so I mean,
You're more hip.
yeah. It's like a hipster kind of thing. They call me millennial at the gym, like all the older guys, like Bernetti and them. You know those guys?
It's Steve, right?
Steve Human and them. Yeah, they call me the millennial. Like I do a cartwheel pass while I'm doing jiu-jitsu, and they call it the millennial pass. They always ask me if I'm going to protest with
How old are you?
I'm 29 years old.
Okay.
They treat me like I'm a kid though.
Okay. So besides being a fuckboy, you're a millennial jiu-jitsu and MMA practitioner.
Yeah, not a good MMA practitioner. I'm 1-2 in my amateur career. I apparently like to run into fists. There's like a gravitational force between my face and the fist. I don't know how I do it.
You gotta watch out.
Yeah, I think that's
You gotta watch out.
Right? I have priorities when I get in the cage, and my first priority is Eric, don't run into fists. That's number one priority. Then second priority is make sure they run into my fists.
Dude,
It just goes from there.
You should dodge the fists like you dodge the women as a fuckboy.
Exactly. That's the point. And
well, that's the exact opposite of a fuckboy.
No, but you dodge them after that.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Right after you come and your
Dude,
dick's still inside them, you're like, all right, how do I get the fuck out of here?
I'm out of here.
No, you got to come up with a plan before that. We used to have conversations.
I've been stuck before.
When I was in the Hamptons houses as a youth in the early 2000s.
A ute?
As a youth. We would try to come up with ways to get out before you'd even start. You'd be in there, you'd be like, oh, this is feeling real good. Better come up with an escape plan.
Got to get out of here already.
Yeah, got to get out of here. Somebody needs an emergency.
Yeah, dude. It's you ever get tired? Like I lived that life, and you wake up and you're just like, and you're like trying to dodge people. Isn't that the worst though? You're like, oh, I'm over
fucking
this.
terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
I'm way too lazy
I
for that.
was talking with my buddy Russell. He's Russell.
Fuckboy?
I guess he's a young man. And we were talking about it. And I'm like, dude, like you go and do something stupid, and then you're just like, I need a wife, I need a kid, it's a minivan, like I need to get my life together right now. Like after you do some dumb shit like that, like
I shouldn't have to spend so much time trying to figure out how to get away from these ladies.
yeah, I should.
These fucked up ladies that are crazy psychos.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like you spend an hour fucking and then 10 hours trying to figure out how to get the fuck away from them.
Yeah,
It's not worth it.
I would say
it's not a good lifestyle.
I would say that's not worth it. And most times, neither is like the 3-4 hours prior where you have to listen to them talk.
Oh, that's so bad.
You know, like I have to listen to you for 3 hours and pretend you're interesting just to fuck you, and then the second I'm done, I don't ever want to see your face again, and then I have to come up with like a middle of the road way of hurting your feelings enough that you don't want to come back, but not enough where you badmouth me and I can't fuck any of your friends.
You know what though? That's not bad because I haven't been single since like 2005 or 6, so I missed out on this whole like online fuckboy millennial dating thing. And like you guys are complaining about how much time you had to spend to like get away from women. You used to have to spend like 3 times that amount to try to get laid before like online dating. It would be like legitimately going on like first dates with like 5 different women, then like hoping that like 3 out of 5 you got a second date with that you might be able to like call them back, and then like none of them know that you're dating them. So like if the new movie comes out, like when that movie Pearl Harbor came out, I used to have to go to see it like 3 times because every girl thinks they're gonna get to go see that movie with you. So you're just like, oh man, and you're not getting laid by any of them, and then they all decide to sleep with you and make you their boyfriend like the same week, and then it's all of a sudden like, oh fuck, I have 3 real girlfriends that I'm having relationships with.
Okay,
Then you like start weighing it out.
Eric, did it not make you? It made you value it more? Did it not? Like, didn't you feel like you earned something? Like you
No, I
achieved?
always felt like everything in life, I've had to work way too hard to get it. And I'm like, yo, this isn't worth it. This shit should just come to me. I'm like, all right looking. What's going on?
All right looking guys don't get pussy thrown at them all
I
that
know.
often.
You have to be like, you can't even be like an 8.5 or a 9. You have to be either like a 10 or like a 10 with like one fucked up tooth. So you're like a 9.75. If you're not a 9.75 and a guy, you're not getting the pussy thrown at you.
This is
or
actually
a bouncer.
This is that's because they get
helps
you
a
in
lot.
But that's like extenuating circumstances. I'm
No,
just
it's
throwing
not.
like
That's called capitalizing
Yeah.
on opportunity.
Yeah, no, but that like makes you have to be somewhere for it to work.
but you're getting paid.
I'm talking about walking down
Yeah.
the street and girls are just like, hey, like they just come up to you and start talking. You're gonna be like a 9.75.
Okay Cupid did
Or
Okay
tall.
Cupid did a study with their Okay Cupid was apparently started by, don't quote me on this, I think it was started by a bunch of psychologists. Yeah, Steve.
I
check it out.
yeah, I believe that's
And like,
true.
so what happened was like they had a part of it like hot or not kind of ratings, like 1 through 5. You could rate people. So men had a healthy bell curve of how they rated women. So the majority of women were 3s, and you were just as likely to be a 5 as you were to be a 1. So like so it was a healthy bell curve. Up, peak, and we come back down.
Right.
Women rated 84% of the men on the website a 2 or lower.
Holy shit.
And then this
Standardized
is
bitches like fucking-
this is what I love. And then like when they talk about like objectification and stuff, like they put it on us as
they're
putting the pressure on them to be these like supermodels. And I'm like, guys, I hate to tell you, but like, or ladies, I hate to tell you, but like,
You have a hole? I'm interested.
yeah, we want to talk. We
Yeah.
want to.
that just proves that meme of like, and I know you've been on the dating apps. You've seen it. You've come across women with their bios like, I'm 5'10", so please be at least 6'2". Like,
Or-
don't come talk to me unless you're 6'2", and no hookups, blah blah. It's like, what are you out of your fucking mind? Listen, you're like a 5, which is you could still get laid. As a 5, you still get 10 dicks a day missiled to your face. Every dude's still trying to fuck you, but like you can't be making demands like that. You got an attitude of a 10.
There's a specific meme that's like that. It's like, must be 6'3", have their shit together, no kids, no divorce, make 6 figures, something like that. And it's like a picture of like this big fat fucking pig. Just, it's like them and then me. And it's like, you have all these fucking demands and you're gross.
Yeah, and you don't bring shit to the table
Yeah.
except your fork.
That's like there was a meme that went around of a woman who commented on like a stockbroker forum, and she was like saying, I can't break the $150,000 guy. Like that's the highest. Why can't I get a $500,000 man? And like basically one of those guys was like a accountant at Goldman Sachs, and he broke down why she's a depreciating value. he's like I'm only gonna get more rich, and you're only gonna get less attractive.
That's
he's
true.
like, so if all you're offering
So
is
true.
your attractiveness, and you're not offering anything beyond your attractiveness, and you like your shallowness to go after me for my money, he's
You got
like.
nothing.
He's like, you're a depreciating value in my business.
That's true. It's like a car.
You pull it off the lot and
Yep.
fucking.
Once we drive off the lot, you're worth half of what you were. You know, and like,
ridiculous.
let's be honest, men age like wine and women age like bread. So, after 25, you're
You got
on
nothing going for you.
you're on the screen machine. It's just all downhill.
The free fall.
Yeah, it's a big problem in Hollywood. Like women in between that, like there's like an age gap. If you're not an older woman or if you're not a young woman, you don't act. That's it.
You got
Like,
nothing going for you.
Yeah. With the exception of your Angelina Jolie's and your rare exceptions.
So this is welcome to the Fuckboy podcast.
We were all over,
Yeah, what did I write on there?
we're 8 minutes in and we've been all over the fucking place already.
Oh, dude, my mind is you guys are in for a treat. I can go anywhere.
Well, it's funny. I got to bring this up too because Potts and I are friends on Facebook, and you write a lot of interesting shit. And half the time I know you like to just get debates going. Like, and I know everything you write isn't always your solid opinion, but like you like to play devil's advocate. It seems like and like
Yeah.
get people going. But you have a cousin.
Oh,
who
my
I
cousin.
literally like. You texted me about it one time because I responded to one of his things, and I was like, because everything you post, he takes the opposing position on you. I've noticed. Like,
Yeah. We actually got heated recently. He was calling me a Nazi and a racist, and I was
yeah.
like, God, come on, man. You know me. You know I'm not like this. It's my cousin Blyden. He's he's a college professor. And he's a really smart guy. I'll give him credit. He definitely knows.
He's very smart.
He
I've
definitely knows how to make his arguments. The only problem me and him have is we just drag it out. It's funny. Like people will message me and be like, "Dude," they're like, "You haven't argued with Biden in a while. What's going on?" I'm like, "It's exhausting. I get tired."
Dude, I get tired like keeping up with it in the thread sometimes. And me and him went back and forth on one thing one time, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Oh, because it never ends. It
No,
never ends. It never.
dude.
And that's I hate to say it, but that's like a Potts family trait. Is like if we're in an argument, like
Can't let it go.
Yeah, there's no. It's gonna be.
Till death.
Everybody wants the last word. And then there's never a last word.
No.
So it just goes and it goes and it goes. I mean, I think we have an innate ability to get over it. Like he's calling me a Nazi one day, and then today I was on his Facebook. He wrote something about Republicans and taxes, and I just took some ridiculous position where I was just like, basically I took feminism, like what they believe about like the patriarchy, and I was arguing basically why we shouldn't have taxes because of the patriarchy.
Oh,
I was like,
I want to hear this.
dude,
This sounds
okay,
great.
alright,
Let's
yeah.
go with this.
Ridiculous.
All right. So basically, I'm a libertarian. I believe in limited government, so that means less taxes. And then so a big argument is taxation is theft. Is their little mantra, the meme they put out there. And so I always do that, and that always irks him. So today he posted something about taxes, about fair taxes, flat taxes. And I was just like, yeah, well, the fact that, like, the government was created by men and women technically, didn't have the ability to vote. So they were technically, government was forced on them without consent.
So they were raped by the government, basically.
Yeah, they never agreed. And so,
Raped by taxes.
and I was like,
Hashtag me too.
So I was laying out simple freaking, I was like, the patriarchy oppresses women. The patriarchy created the government oppresses women. And and basically that's why we shouldn't have to pay taxes because it oppresses women. And
I'm real into that. That's a pretty good argument.
And then here's the great thing. So once you start going down the avenue of consent, and I was like, and I tied it into all the latest sex allegations that's going on, like how us as a society are reevaluating the meaning of consent and stuff like that. That I was like, okay, so here's like the easy libertarian argument that they always make. They go, okay, what makes sex not rape? Consent. What makes a job not slavery? Consent. What makes taxation not theft?
There's nothing.
Yeah. Somebody comes to your home and goes, yeah, we're getting super political right now, sorry.
Fine.
Somebody comes to your home basically under the threat of putting you in a cage, and they go, yeah, you're going to give us X amount of your doll hairs, or we're going to throw you in a cage and take you away from your family.
It's funny you bring that up because you know who Jack Donovan is?
Yeah, Jack Donovan, yeah.
So I had one of his Violence is Golden shirts.
Yeah.
and I was in Wantagh. I work in Seaford, so I was down there. I was about to go get my hair cut, and I stopped to get gum and cash at the gas station. And I walk up to the counter, and like I didn't even realize like I had the shirt on that it like might even spark some kind of conversation. And the one behind the counter, she's like, "What's that supposed to mean?" I was like, "What?" She goes, "Your shirt," and I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Violence is the golden rule." I'm like, "Everything is backed up by violence." She goes, "No, it's not. That's wrong." I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "What happens if you don't pay your taxes?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "If you don't pay your taxes, men with guns will show up, and they're gonna force you to pay your taxes." I'm like, "That's violence." I'm like, "What do you do?"
Or they Wesley Snipes you and they put you in prison.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing, you know. And I was like, "What do you do? What do you do if I decide I don't want to pay for this gum right now?" I'm like, "You're gonna call somebody, the cops, to do violence on your behalf." I was like,
No.
Everything is backed up by violence.
Well, that's what government is. It's essentially the monopoly of violence.
Right.
Where basically, and that's the logic. Like, so if I was to make the statist position, like if the statist position is that I, by living in the society, give the government the authority to exert violence on other people who don't abide by the rules of our society, and that's the basis of. But dude, that's 100% true. And Donovan's onto something. You ever listen to Jordan Peterson?
Oh, I love that guy.
Dude,
That guy is my hero.
Dude, he says the same stuff, man. He says he's a less macho version of Donovan.
Yeah.
He's got this.
All right, he's a little bitch, man. I like that he's standing up for himself, but I feel like,
Who, Jordan Peterson?
yeah,
I love that guy.
I think, how dare me? I think that it takes a certain type of person to let the people walk on you enough that like you get into his position.
He didn't let anybody walk on him. Though.
Yeah.
He shut it down.
He's already he shut it down after it got to the point where he was being like threatened by violence, and there were people like roaming the campus that he was on looking for him. Listen, if you want to come look for me, I'm right here.
Okay, that's you.
I know, but you know what? It takes a certain type of person to let it get so bad that they have to stand up for themselves.
Well,
I think that's a stretch. I think that's a little
he was
bit of a
getting
stretch.
attacked because of what he was saying. Basically, all he was saying, he's like, I don't care if you want to call yourself Z or whatever weird pronoun you want. He's like, but I just don't believe I should be compelled by law to call you that.
Absolutely not.
And
It's
basically,
fucking crazy.
Canadian government's trying to make a law that basically says like your landlord, your boss, and like I think like state employees all have to refer to you by your preferred pronoun. And like, dude, we're at like New York City, the LGBTQ community and
Z, Alpha.
yeah, they
whatever.
recognize like something like 34 different pronouns, and it's like, what? How many?
Hey, I'm just gonna call you one asshole.
My
Yeah.
friend just had to fill out some licensing forms to get like a state license in New Jersey to do business there, and he was saying on the box next to sex, it said male, female, and then underneath it said both. And he said, I guess the both box is like the I don't
else.
really know everything else, or something in between the first two. So it was like another whole box that New Jersey now has to check if you're some other sex other than male or female, somewhere in between. They're just like, I guess
Yeah,
like
they
we're going to
call
have a
it-
spectrum box. We're not going to have like a wizard box or a male to
Fucking-
female.
Or how about this? Just don't fucking ask at all.
Yeah, and I'm not like it's called gender fluid. I think is the expression.
I'm
And
into that. I'm into that.
It's not what you think, Eric.
Yeah, and I don't to be fair, I haven't like looked into it enough to have like a really solid opinion. Like they feel like a woman one day, a man the next day. I really don't understand it, and like be honest, if I want to criticize it, I do want to understand it better. But like the thing that annoys me is like feminism is constantly going on and on and on about like how gender is a social structure. So, like, you behave like a boy because you were raised and reared that way to behave like a boy. So, if I accept their premise and I go, yeah, so gender is a social structure, girls are told to like dolls, boys are told to like trucks. Like, if I accept this social structure argument, then how can anyone feel like the opposite sex? Then I'm just a dude who likes to wear a dress.
Right.
Why, like, this is what I don't understand. And why, like, so their arguments and their philosophy are constantly contradicting themselves. And that's what annoys me is, like, the big hypocrisy of it all.
I still feel like everyone that gets real heavily invested in any of these type gender-related topics are still just like that kid in, like, junior high that wants attention. Like, they just want attention. They want to be different, but they don't excel in any specific sphere that would grant them any type of attention. Like, they're not good at baseball. They're not good at doing ballet. They're not good at anything. So, not a great singer, not into plays. They just don't excel anywhere, but they still want the focus to be on them in, like, a selfish type of way. So, this is, like, now what they're going to be. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a way of taking power for themselves.
It's oh, this is me. Oh, and I'm offended because people don't like me, and I'm just being myself. So pay attention to me. It's like almost like they're trying to win the population or the popularity contest in like a weird subversive underlying type way that nobody's ever thought of before. Like, they want everyone to know who they are. They want to be heard, but they're making up like a fallacy or a false identity in order to get themselves out there and be known. Whereas otherwise they would just like slip through the cracks. They didn't have the energy to do it any other way.
To excel in some kind of field.
Like the rest of us, like everyone, like the three of us were like, oh, I'm going to get good at punching other guys in the face and choking them. And this way other people will be like, yeah, that guy's good at choking people. We'll talk to him. He's cool. And like, I don't know, if you're a girl, you're like, oh, I'm going to get real pretty, or I'm going to be a ballerina, or I'm going to get real good at whatever it is they're into. But if you're not good at anything and you don't really have enough energy to put yourself out there and get good at something,
then everybody's a fuckboy.
I'm putting a dress on and high heels, and you're going to just live with the fact that I have a goddamn beard.
Yeah, dude,
I'm using the women's bathroom.
Dude, it is exactly like that. It's so like we were talking about Peterson, he talks about hierarchies, and basically like, so MMA is a hierarchy. So, like, you know, right now Conor McGregor might not be the best fighter in the world, but he's definitely at the top of the hierarchy because of his personality, because he's found a way around just fighting to make himself the King Machizo or whatever. You know, he's the top of the food chain. And so this is what's happening, exactly what you're talking about. These people, they can't top any hierarchy. There's a million hierarchies out there. You can be the best video game player in the world. Yep. You can be the best this,
that shit's real hard now, though, man. I can't compete with those kids. I log on, and they're just like, you suck, old man. Fuck you. Call me all types of racial slurs on Xbox Live.
Yeah, you're like, they're like 12 years old.
Yeah, like 12
the only
years
word
old.
They know is faggot. Yep. Like, that's all they call you, and you're like, I like girls. you're getting bullied online by 8-year-olds.
I've slept with hundreds of women compared to you. You're a virgin. Yeah, but you suck. Die. And then they kill you 100 times.
Yeah, and you're like, and then they're doing the squatting on your face, the teabagging, and you're like, I'm gonna turn this off right now.
Yeah, fuck Call of Duty.
So exactly. So we're not good at video games, so we gravitated towards martial arts, or it's like, and that's just how it is. And like, I guess these people, they're finding their place, and they're finding their hierarchy is that, and like, that's annoying.
It used to be Dungeons and Dragons, and that's where they all went. They just did Dungeons and Dragons, and they met at the Smith Haven Mall on Tuesday nights in the food court.
I don't even think it's...
When did you leave that, though? Because you know a lot about it.
They're not the same people.
They hate those people.
Yeah.
I was the Wizard Lord of Dungeons and Dragons.
That's what I'm saying.
They call those people neckbeards and like basement dwellers.
It's not those people. It's someone different. Like it's almost like a new species that fucking evolved over the last like 15 years.
I think it's a byproduct of like a
participation.
They always talk about privilege, but it's literally a byproduct of privilege. Like, you have so much free time that you can like.
There's no challenge. There's no worrying. Like there's no great conflict nowadays. There's nothing.
We need a war.
We fucking really do need a war.
Like a real one that everyone gets involved in, not just like specific battles that we're gonna like fight once in a while here or there. We need like a good battle. Who are we gonna pick as the enemy?
It's Korea.
No, they're not big enough. That's not even a real country, and that guy secretly loves us. Let's think about somebody
they just
better.
launched a missile, though.
Who's bigger and who's better? India. There's a lot of people in India.
There's too many. They can't
They have
fight,
the
though.
largest middle class in the world right now.
Yeah, let's get after it.
They also have the largest fucking lower class in the world. The disparity in welfare
it's changing,
is
though.
fucking crazy, though.
They're probably gonna surpass us, guys. They're the next hotbed, because they're doing it right. They're not doing China, where China's building ghost cities. They build cities, and the cities are just empty. They were expecting the people to leave the fields and just move into these cities, and nobody did.
The rug's gonna come out from underneath China soon. It's gonna it's like a house of cards.
Also, you keep lending money to America, and we haven't paid any of it
back.
back.
No, we're just printing it. We're just printing it. Like, get those, order more printers. Order more printers. Print more money so we can pay the $1 trillion we owe China back.
We have the biggest guns. We'll never fucking pay it back.
I know. We're just going to make Bitcoin disappear in another 3 or 4 years, and then all the money will go.
$10,000 now?
Yeah, it's up to 10K.
Fucking unbelievable.
Dude, it's too late to get in. I almost feel like I have to look for the next cryptocurrency that's going to get big.
Well, you know what it is it's going to come out underneath. Like, it's going to fall.
Well, the options market, the options market just opened, and I don't know if anybody really knows about the options market, but I worked in finance for a number of years for the second largest investment bank in the world, and the options market is essentially you paying a small fee to make a bet on what the market's going to do. And if your bet plays out, which like 99.99% of them don't, then they keep your money, just like sort of like you're betting and you're gambling. If it does pay off, there's like a 0.001% chance you get a big payout. And the options market is very heavily regulated. And the reason that it's regulated is because it can be used as a weapon against companies. So you can actually hurt companies by buying different options and using different option strategies and trading their stock. You can like knock big companies' stock prices in half if there was no regulation. Even more so, you might be able to bankrupt certain companies. And there's been a couple of examples. I won't get into them, but they just opened up an options market for Bitcoin, and there's absolutely no regulation at all. And all of these people who are like amateur investors who have never invested in the stock market or have never invested and don't understand what options are or option strategies are about to fall victim to the entire financial sector of the world, who is about getting ready to run the ass train on them like they've never experienced in their entire lives.
Now, these are people who are just investing in the options of Bitcoin, right? They're not actually Bitcoin.
No, these are this is going to affect the price of the Bitcoin market, and they're going to manipulate it so that they can cash in. And if you're just somebody that buys Bitcoins, you're not going to have any idea what the fuck is going on or why the volume or the value of it is going up or down, and you're not going to be able to protect yourself.
Sounds like it's the basic, like...
It would be the
it's
stock
the
market with no
recognition.
government. Stock market with no government. Insider trading like nobody has ever seen before.
Yeah, it's the recognition of the higher, like the banks noticing that it's worth their takeover now. So they're going to allow them to fuck
now,
yourself
this is the
so they can take it
assumption
over.
that the dollar is the measure of worth, right? This is the assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, aren't we heading towards hyperinflation? Isn't that the whole logic behind Bitcoin, is that our currency is going to bankrupt itself, and this is the future?
Well, every single country has been following the same business model as us with a fiat currency since probably like the 70s or 80s. Every single country floats their dollar.
Since we got off the gold standard.
Yeah, since we got off the gold standard, or they peg it to us. Like China's currency has been pegged to us, and they float it like plus or minus like a quarter point a year. But I was in China 10 years ago, and I think it was like 7.2 Chinese dollars to one US, the yuan or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like 6.7. Realistically, it should be probably like 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. But the U.S. dollar has been the measure of currency because it's the universally accepted like world standard
Well, that's
that everybody
That's
accepts.
because OPEC only trades oil
In US dollars.
Yeah.
But even so, like you
Well, that's
can
what sparked all that shit in the Middle East, all the Arab Spring and all that shit, because they were going to start fucking
taking euros. They
taking
actually
euros
did.
and gold.
Saddam Hussein started taking euros right before we went in under G.W. Bush. He started taking euros for oil.
And Iran was going to start
Well,
trading
same thing,
gold.
And then same thing with Russia. A couple of years back, they were bilaterally trading oil with China and the yuan. So
Yeah,
and
and
that's
India.
not kosher.
And India.
And so, like, that's why all of a sudden the Saudis didn't stop production, and we all of a sudden we went from $4 a gallon back down to $2 a gallon out of nowhere.
We got to hurt those Russians.
Yeah, we got to punish those Russians
Yo,
for
they're
trying to trade oil.
Their currency was devalued by like 70% or something like that, literally in the course of like a month.
Yeah, because the Saudis didn't stop production. Usually they would slow production once they hit peak production, but they didn't. And
You know what I just realized? You have this. I was just replaying how we started this, the whole fuckboy thing. This is your perfect exit strategy. You fuckboy women, right? And then you just start talking about like oil futures and fucking all this shit with them. And they're going to be like, fuck this dude.
women.
I'm out. They'll leave you.
You get real deep into it. You just get real deep where you see their eyes
flip it
glaze
on them.
over. You got to get those eyes to glaze over.
What do you think about the Russian currency right now? How are your
You just
feelings
flip it on.
that?
You start talking about that like right after. Roll over, spooner, and be
Finish and be like,
so
oh,
you
what
know
do
anything
think
about
the
Bitcoin
ruble right
options?
I have so many fucking rubles. I got to get rid of these. You need to help me.
Taxation is theft, honey.
yeah, taxation is theft. Yeah, it's dude.
I'll call my dick inflation.
Dude, this shit
Across
just
the
like
line.
No, not at all. There's
I
no
don't know,
line.
dude. It came
You
like
know
a
how I
point-
feel about currency jokes.
Yes.
There just came a point in my life where I realized I was an idiot, and then that was like when I was graduating college, and I was just drunk the entire time, being exactly what you're talking about, being just being a degenerate drunk, and I was just like, I'm an idiot, I'm a moron, and I just started learning everything I could learn, whether it was philosophy, economics, anything I can get my hands on. I just started consuming.
I will say that you could be a degenerate and still learn all that stuff too.
Yeah, it was hard though, because the drinking really affected my ability to wake up in the morning.
It does.
Focus on anything besides drinking once I started drinking. Like, dude, that's even how I started the fucking jiu-jitsu. I was like, I'd broken up with my girlfriend. It was like a really terrible breakup. I had been dating her for like 5 years. I was just like working at a dive bar 3 days a week, and then the other days of the week I was just drinking at the dive bar. And my buddy Max Trons, we'll shout him out. He was training at Sarah's, and he came in and he was just like, "Hey, do you want to train jiu-jitsu?" And without like a hesitation, I was like, "Yeah," because I need to change my life.
I'm trying not to die here.
Yeah. And that's like, dude. If that didn't happen, I would be like the drunk smart guy at a bar that's now dumb because he's been so drunk for so long.
Like guy that just talks your ear off, and then you're like, "What does that guy do for a living?" They're like, "Oh, he's
here.
unemployed."
That's what he does.
Yeah, he's using his EBT card at the bar.
Yeah.
What's your your job title? Oh, townie. Gotcha.
Townie. I'm from Yaphank. We got a lot of those.
So, one thing I don't want to get too far away and get wrapped up in another crazy discussion before we get into this. You got a small measure of internet fame recently.
Joe Rogan. So I made a meme. I watch Rogan's podcast pretty regularly. I saw he made a really stupid face during the podcast. I screenshotted it on my phone, turned it into a meme, and I guess Joe thought it was funny and reposted it. Gave me the credit, and then like within, I don't know, I would say like 12 hours, I got like 2,000 new followers. A lot of them like very people into like psychedelics and stuff like that, which isn't like my I have like
your
that's
normal bailiwick?
yeah, like I have a very unique personality. Like, well, not unique, that's not the right word. I just like I'm a man of many faces or many hats. Like
You like to party, but you don't make your own soap and walk barefoot through the forest.
Yeah, I enjoy life, but I'm saying like I'm a martial arts guy, but also I like to fucking read philosophy, and then I also I like to go to rock concerts, but everybody wants you to be one thing on the internet. You ever notice that? Like, dude, if you're gonna have,
if you're a vegan, you have to be vegan.
Like, you have to have your vegan Instagram. Okay, you're a bodybuilder, you have to have your bodybuilder Instagram. Like, you can't just be yourself and show all the different facets of your personality. It confuses people or something. I don't get it.
Well, yeah, because people can't figure out what box to put you in then. So that's what happens.
Yeah, you got to go in a box, and people like that. You don't go into a box; it gets real uncomfortable, especially around if you're hanging out with people over 40 and you're not in a box, it just makes them real uncomfortable. What? You're not a construction worker. You're not a dentist. You're not a teacher. You're not a cop.
Oh, dude, I agree. It's so funny. I have these 3,000 followers now or whatever, which is nothing. But I'll post something. And
it's more than I got.
Yeah, but dude, I'll post something and I still get the same amount of likes as when I had 800 followers. It's just because it's just
it's not identifying with them.
the audience that I picked up from Rogan is not I'm not constantly posting shrooms
Well, the
pictures
thing is
of wind catchers and the wind, the breeze.
Yeah.
It's attached to that podcast too, so that's why the podcast that you made the meme about was this guy Paul Stamets who was talking about mushrooms and psychedelics and stuff like that. So you caught that audience, which is
and dude, that dude's a totally rad dude. I liked everything he was saying, talking about how he's gonna save the bees with mushrooms and stuff like that. I was interested into everything.
That guy was out there.
Oh yeah, but I don't have to be that guy to appreciate him, and that's what confuses me. It almost feels like a lot of people, they want you to be something so they can appreciate you.
Well, because people are closed-minded, man. A lot of people don't have the ability to have many interests.
Yeah, no one branches out. They want to stay what they know, and that's it. They don't want to expand their mind.
In my opinion, there's three types of people, right? There's the specialists. There's people who do the one thing that they do it great, but they can't operate outside of that box. Then there's people who are well-rounded, but you still get you're still in pursuit of mastery, something we're all in pursuit of mastery of martial arts, right? That'll be something that we do for the rest of our lives. Yeah. But I'm like you. I'm big into science, philosophy, podcasting. We're into a bunch of different shit. And then there's the third group of people who I think is probably the more dominant one, is that there's just people who get surface knowledge of everything, jacks of all trades, but the slimmest part, and then don't have any real level of expertise in anything. They can't dig in.
I wouldn't say that's the majority of people.
I would say
majority of people are more focused on one thing and they don't give a fuck about anything else.
I would say I would even go further. I would say the majority of people are consumers. They don't even try to specialize in anything. They just consume content created by other people. Like I think of myself as like a content creator. Whether it's me performing my jujitsu, whether it's me making some kind of dumb meme. Like my friends, like they get a kick out of like they like send me memes about meme makers, and I'm like, it's just like a thing I do, guys. It's like the same thing. I have a cat, and for some reason, people have been tagging me nonstop in this video on Facebook of the guy. It's like a thing so you can lick your cat. It's like you put it in your mouth, and so you can comb your cat with your mouth. And I'm just like,
so you're the guy.
You do look like the kind of guy who would have that. Though.
Thank you, guys.
We'll figure it out right now. Have you ever licked your cat?
Hold on.
Between the four of us and the people listening.
As a fuckboy, you're licking the wrong kind of cat.
I've bitten the cat's ear. Like when me and the cat are playing, I bite back. I gotta establish, hierarchies. We were just talking about it. I'm the big cat in the house. But yeah, but like, dude, having a cat is not like my identity, and like, so I find it so weird.
Well, for women, it is.
Oh, dude, so many women have a problem with it.
Crazy cat lady.
People are always like, when I was on Tinder a couple years back, like so many people would be like, "Oh, cat, no deal." Like.
For real?
Yeah.
It's not going to be in bed with us. It's like, what the fuck?
Because the cat is for the woman.
Do not try to control my sexuality, all right? You don't know if I want the cat there or not.
Did you ever find out why that was a deal breaker for women? Is it because it's their thing? They want to be the cat person?
They're dog people, which I never understood. Like, I don't own a dog, but I don't have anything against dogs. I don't, like, wake up like, oh, dogs make me angry. For some reason, there's a lot of people who are anti-cat people.
They're one or the other. What's it?
Yeah, I don't... It's
what
kind of what we were talking about with the, like... What?
I hate both.
You're a
hate
weirdo.
Everything.
Nah. Do you have like a lizard or something?
Nothing.
You would be one of those fucking weirdos.
When I started dating my wife,
tarantula at home.
Dude, yeah, like what the fuck?
No
I
animals.
I took a girl out on a date. All she talked about was her fucking monitor. I didn't even know what it was.
You're like your computer.
Like I got one on my computer. I have
it's a
an
lizard,
Ayama.
exactly.
It's high def.
That's what I thought. It's a fucking lizard. She talked to me all night about her fucking lizard that changes
They're
colors.
big fucking lizards.
And I was like, you know what? Have fun finishing dinner on your own.
High def 4K. Fucking great with streaming.
Wait, we got to get to the bottom of this. Eric, why don't you like animals?
I just don't like them. I grew up with a lot of animals at my house, and I just realized that I dislike all animals. My wife is the same way. Like, when we first started dating, I was just like, listen, I really hate animals. I don't ever want any. And she was like, me too. I was like, I think this is going to work. And now we're married. It's like 13 years later.
Yeah, so it was just
legit.
the dislike
Match
of
made in
animals.
So when your kids want a dog,
My neighbors will have them. No, we will never have animals. Never.
you'll give it to Max, and then especially Rose. Like,
Never.
Dude, but it also...
I don't crumble to that
I'm not gonna
soft
lie,
shit.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yet.
I'm not gonna lie,
Never.
man. But like having animals growing up was also like a really easy way to learn about death.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
for
I had
sure.
hamsters. Know how many hamsters I had to bury in the backyard? Goldfish. How many of those I had to bury in the backyard?
How
It's
many
a
of them
real
got stuck
easy way
up your ass?
Zero. Or I blocked it out from my memory.
That's why you got cats, because somebody... How else are you going to get the hamster out?
If anyone doesn't get that reference, watch Mallrats, and if you haven't seen it already, go fuck yourself.
Wow, that's powerful. Is that part of the podcast to go fuck yourself?
No.
Oh,
that's just how we really
That was
feel.
just perfect timing
Yeah.
between the two of you. I thought that was like a thing you guys do. Like you both agree on something and simultaneously say "go fuck yourself."
Maybe it is now.
I was
think
gonna
it
say
is.
that.
It might have
Like,
just become one.
I think like you should have like something scheduled into each podcast that you talk about. Now you're like,
Go fuck
yeah,
yourself.
and if you don't like Labatt Blue, go fuck yourself.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
I
a good
actually
bit.
love that
That's a
idea.
good bit. Dude, I was on one other podcast. It was like when podcasting was first taking off, and it was so weird that it was like, now it's all like freeform. Like anybody I watch, they just kick it. They just talk. Like these guys had structure. Like, hey, we're going to talk about this, this, and this. And I was like, whoa. Yeah, it almost feels, it feels like not authentic. And I think that's why the podcast is taking off, because you watch television and like the people who can capture that authentic feeling on television are the most successful.
Right.
Like the rest of the people are just like stiff and robotic, and you're like, this is an uncomfortable, forced
Eric
conversation.
Yeah. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want to listen to what they're saying. You're just like, I don't buy this. This is fake and phony, and
Yeah,
go fuck yourself.
It's some kind of PC bullshit, like
It's an agenda.
yeah.
People can sniff your bullshit agenda. Like where, for me, my thought process is more like, I want to have a conversation that we would have if we were just sitting around bullshitting anyway. The only difference is there's mics on this time.
Yeah.
And we can go back and re-listen to the funny thing that we said actually word for word later on.
And other degenerates that aren't here with us get to listen to it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, that's what it is. I don't even think it's an agenda. I think it's even more, like, some people, they have an agenda, like, you watch Bill O'Reilly, he's got an agenda, or you watch someone on MSNBC, they got an agenda. But, like, there's just people, I think they're scared to lose their jobs. And, like, that's what it is. Like, I have to be this. I have to reach the largest demographic possible. Like, I'm Jimmy Fallon on the whatever show he has. I have to laugh at everything everybody says.
And people get to know that, and they get to like it, and they feel comfortable. And if he develops an audience, and that's what they're into, then that's what he's always going to give them. He's not going to deviate. Like, if you were Jay Leno, and you go up there and give your goofy monologues, and you tell a bunch of shit jokes, the people that would sit and watch him every night, that's what they're waiting for. They wanted that. They didn't want to have their mind expanded. They didn't want to have a new experience. They wanted to go sit him with his goofy chin and his suit on with his gray suit and be like, oh, hey, did you see what Bill O'Reilly did today? Oh, yeah. I'm going to go drive my Duesenbergs around. Like, people love that.
And was the worst Jay Leno ever.
I think we can bring this full circle. Maybe that's what I was talking about with social media, where, like, I post poetry and stuff like that, and then people are just like,
how dare you?
Lame, like, like, it's just like, so I think that's what it is. You're right. Like, the audience wants one thing, and when you don't deliver that one thing, they get turned off.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
And I think that's their attitude, and that's why they behave in that stiff manner. Like, I have to stay in this cookie cutter form of what my audience wants.
People think they want what they want, and that's all that they want.
It's the box.
They're not willing to expand their mind. They're not willing to change. They're not willing. Like, it's scary. Like, no one wants to branch out. People want what they want when they want. It's the same person that, like, every Monday I have meatloaf. Every Tuesday I have ravioli. Every Wednesday I have chicken cutlet. Like,
dude, when my life gets like that, like, I'll tell you, like training for a fight, your life gets like that. You have
that's so monastic. Though. That's different.
But it's like painful. It's like I literally like it.
By the end,
kills
you need
my
a break.
soul.
By the end, to break that form, like after the fight, doesn't it feel so weird? Like it's like 2 days after the fight, and you're like, whoa, it's Monday. I don't know what I'm going to do.
And you're like,
what can I do? Feel purposeless.
I went into 7-Eleven after my last fight got canceled. I went into 7-Eleven yesterday for the first time, and I like walked up and down all of the aisles, just oogling at everything. I'm like, Haagen-Dazs, Hostess cupcakes. What am I going to decide? Could be anything. Oh, I might get some nuts. Oh, maybe they'll be dipped in salt. It's like you can't even believe all of the possibilities. And like, what could I do today? Oh, I might drink a beer. I'm having a beer today. A fucking beer. I haven't had a beer since like August.
Now, do you also get like I have way too much time when you stop, like you take a break from training for a second? Dude, I'll come home from work, and if I don't go to the gym, I'm like sitting on the couch. I'm like, I feel like I should do something.
I'm still like that right now, and I'm not training for a fight. But if I come home on a night where like maybe I'm a little beat up and like I should take that night for training, when I get home, like after 2 hours of like not doing anything, I get super weird, man. I don't know what to do with myself.
2 hours of not doing anything. You should have some kids.
Fuck that. But I just feel strange. I feel purposeless almost sometimes, especially after a fight. When a fight ends, I'm like, I've been living my life for this date on a calendar and this one goal for the last 8 weeks. When it ends, I'm like, well, now what?
I haven't had 2 hours of not having to do anything.
Nobody cares. Nobody told you to have children.
In 8 years, I was just about to say the same thing. I'm like, I haven't.
Yeah, you didn't want a dog, and now you got kids.
I like the kids though.
You got 2 animals now.
I do. They're all right. They turned out to be all right animals. I thought they were going to be shitty little animals like
they are pretty
dogs.
awesome.
Well, the jury's still out. They're only 2 and 4 months.
Yeah.
But so far, Max is killing it for 2 years.
Max is doing all right. He's a little bit of a jerk once in a while. I slap him around, but
well, I mean, so
keep
are you.
him in line.
You're a little bit of a jerk sometimes too, but we keep you around.
Had to kick him in the chest once or twice, but
yeah, they're babies. They bounce back.
Yeah.
They heal fast.
Yeah,
they got that young
they're
blood.
soft,
that young blood.
But training for a fight's like the most monastic, shitty. Like it wears on you. But like to me, and I think Eric, you could attest this. Like that was my rubric to know when I was ready for a fight. If I was like 2 weeks out and I was like, I just wish the fight was fucking tomorrow. That means I know I've trained hard and suffered so much to the point where I'm just like, I'm ready for this shit to be over. That's how I know I'm ready.
I've done like so many fights. I'm like 2 weeks into camp and I'm like, I wish the fight was fucking last week. I just want to fight everyone.
Dude.
When don't you want to fight everyone?
All the time. Never. I've always wanted to, ever since I was like probably like 12 years old, I've just wanted to fight everyone all the time. Like if I could get into like one fight a day, not now because I'm old now, maybe like one fight a month, I'd be happy. Or every 2 weeks, bi-weekly, I'd be all right.
On payday.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, is it like anger or is it just like
No,
just the
it's
love
just,
of doing it?
there's like a whole bunch of different components. It's like the love of doing it, the love of like violence. It's pure. It brings me back to like my primitive caveman self. I like enjoy that. And then it's like I want to improve society and help others. So if I eliminate the people that do bad, I mean,
we got Batman. Batman's on the podcast.
I look at it as like a contribution.
You can't go down that road because then we'll just be fucking eliminating like
everybody.
a third at least of the population.
There's a lot of traffic on the LAER, bro. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah. I know.
Hey,
Every
but
fucking day.
number one, I always tell people this, man. You can't be mad at traffic. You are traffic, all right? You're sitting there. You're one of those people. Dude, I can't. I commute an hour now. It's changed my life.
You got to get a Prius, bro.
I stepped up my podcast game. Is really what
for
happened.
sure.
You got real good at the podcast
You
game.
have to.
Yeah, you have to listen to it because, dude, listen to the radio will like make you want to kill yourself.
I get about
If
30 seconds into the radio and I'm like, nope, fuck it.
I
And
haven't
dude,
put the
don't.
radio in my car on voluntarily in over a decade.
Yeah.
I used to listen to NPR. I used to actually be a contributor to NPR. I used to drive around and deliver auto parts. I used to work, and so
You're the worst fuckboy ever.
dude. I just liked
You
NPR,
can't be a
man.
fuckboy and contribute to NPR. Those are
Dude, Leonard
counter...
Lopate was a great guy, all right? And I like
NPR is
listening
not
to Leonard
terrible.
Lopate.
It's not
Dude,
the
they
worst
used
thing.
to they used to be better. They used to be more like
If you're going to listen to something, may as well be NPR.
Yeah,
They have
talk
some
radio-
good
talk
stories.
radio, yeah.
They got some decent
dude,
stuff
like Radio
on
Lab.
there.
You ever listen to
Yeah,
Radio Lab's the shit.
Radio
Well, that's what I
Lab's
was
the
going to say.
shit.
I was just about to say, how are you going to fucking talk down about NPR?
I wasn't talking about NPR. I was talking down about him being a fuckboy.
Yeah, I'm a bad fuckboy.
There's nothing against NPR.
Oh, I thought...
I know. I should have my hair gelled up. I should be talking about going to Neptune's every
okay.
weekend in the
T-shirt
summer.
time, bro. It's not fucking Radio Lab time.
Hey, I bounced at Neptune's for 10 years. Best job of my life. I'd still work there for free if it was open.
You loved it that much? I've never been.
Oh,
I've never been.
that's
It
why
was fun. It
that's
was-
why you don't know. It was like I don't know how you describe it. It's magical.
It really was. It was
It
something
wasn't like
special to
Guido
me.
fist pumping juice head like you'd expect like Jersey Shore show. It wasn't like that. It was
No.
something different.
Okay, so I've been to I haven't been to because also I don't wait on lines. That's like a big policy of mine. I'm not a
fuck that
line
was.
waiter.
Yeah,
So,
me
but
neither.
I've seen the sloppy tuna in Montauk. Is it on par
No,
with that?
no,
It's
it
crazier.
was magical. It was magical. Just think about like 2,000 to 3,500 people, most of them good looking, everyone on ecstasy, on the beach, in the sun, listening to music, and everybody's like sort of on the same page. Not like, oh, look at that guy.
No,
He
they're all
thinks
on the
he's
same
like the
drugs.
shit. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. They're all on the same. They're all on the same
That
page.
was the page. The
They're on the
drug
page. It's called cocaine,
ecstasy.
ecstasy, cocaine, ecstasy, fornicate.
And-
That's
and-
the page. That's the page, Dave. It's the best page you could ever be on.
And maybe
Get real
maybe
animated.
maybe cycling on some steroids. I'm sure like
Yeah, some of the crowd.
Did
some
dudes
of the
ever go
crowd.
down with the heart like holding the left
No,
arm?
but there were some like legitimate guys that would make like Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior look like twerps that used to go there regularly. But they weren't bad because they were all like
The head
on
of security also
ecstasy,
looked like a fucking
like touching
action figure.
themselves and stuff like that. They were all like into it too. Everyone's on the same page. All different walks of life, all different colors, races,
I've had a
genders.
similar experience. I went to
Yeah.
Bonnaroo, and like even if it's not your scene, dude, you get there and like
You enjoy it.
the
You feel the vibes,
dude,
and it's good.
Yeah, it's a completely like Pepsi and all. Like it's completely commercialized, but like that attitude's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I've always like I went 3 times in a row, 3 years in a row. I was loving it too much.
Well, everything gets co-opted eventually. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
It
but
starts
I'm
like
saying like
Burning
the people,
Man got co-opted.
Yeah, like the people there carried the essence of like what I thought a music festival should be. Like
was that
everybody-
essence patchouli taint?
Yeah, there were people there with beads in their hair doing the spinnies.
Oh, dude, those are called
Not a lot of soap in
those,
that
those,
festival.
those are called wooks.
Wooks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
Wooks. Wook will come up to you, ask you for a cigarette. You're like, I don't got a cigarette, man. And then he'll reach into his pocket, pull out his own pack, and smoke a cigarette. Asks you for a ride to leave the festival. He'll be like, hey, man, do you think you could drop me off in, like, North Carolina?
Why is it a wook?
I don't know why they were called Wooks. I guess because they look like Wookiees, because they got the dreads and everything
Yeah.
like that. But it's basically just like that person who just doesn't believe in money, but like somehow they're always asking you for favors. Steve's got something funny on the
How to
screen.
survive a wook attack.
Come over here and talk into a mic.
Oh my god. Hold on, let me read this.
Yeah, they're like a different breed. Like they believe in peace, love, and happiness, and Buddha, but then like they'll take everything from you. Like all of a sudden you'll have like no money left, you'll have no clothes left, and you'll be like, "This guy was so cool in the beginning. Why am I broke?" And like, is that exactly what I'm describing?
Fantastic. Step
Wait,
one.
hold on. You gotta.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we can't hear you over here.
It's too good. Step one is prepare for the inevitable.
Dude, they're a different breed.
Map the quickest routes to safe areas such as public showers.
My buddy's sister's boyfriend at the time was like a New York City wook, and like he wanted to be in an open relationship, and so he could bang other chicks, and then he found out that she like had slept with someone else, and it made him totally mad. So he's all about that open, free love, and then all of a sudden like, wait, you can get laid too? Oh, like like.
So he's like one of those like passive aggressive, like what would you call them, like real progressive guys until it was like time to be progressive, and then just turned it off.
Yeah, it's like the same guy who always complains about being a good guy and not getting laid.
Yeah.
Like it's
Smart and hippie.
yeah, like it's the same character. Like you have this idea of who you are. You're convinced that you're like this good, loving person, but yet you're just a user and abuser of other human beings.
So like until it's time to be that guy, that's who you are, and then when it's time to be that guy, you can't do it.
Yeah, like when it's time to start the drum circle, you got the drums going, you're singing some song that everybody knows and everybody's into it. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh guys, can I borrow food? Can I borrow this? Can I borrow that? Oh, like, but they always have like somehow they always have their own drugs and stuff like that. So they're always asking you for like the essentials of life, like water and food.
They got drugs, but not drugs to share.
Yeah, exactly. They're that person. They're an interesting character. If you've never heard of Wooks, you definitely have to do some research on it. They're
I'm
a
gonna keep
creature
this
of
in
their own.
mind if I ever get to a music festival. I'll keep an eye out for these guys.
Yeah, ratty clothes, dreads.
I can't imagine you at a music festival.
I can.
I'm real dapper. I don't know if I fuck with dirt fields.
No. I'm seeing somebody who bought the $2,500 VIP
Oh, that's
ticket
me.
standing on the side of the stage.
That's me.
And then he goes
people.
home and tells all of his friends how he had the authentic Bonnaroo experience.
And you know what? I'd beat
With
somebody.
a personal chef and some shit.
I mean,
It's not really an authentic Bonnaroo experience unless you come home with herpes.
air conditioned trailer. That's where I'd be hanging out in the air conditioned
Dude.
trailer.
That's a big misnomer, man. Or I just don't know how to do it. But like, if you go to a music festival by yourself, not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen for you. And it's just like it's a really weird environment. And I don't know. And I feel like I'm a very social guy. I can carry a conversation. But it's just, like if you don't bring someone with you, if you don't bring a date with you, I don't think it's gonna happen for you.
Getting laid?
Yeah, it just didn't seem like the environment wasn't that. I don't know. It wasn't like, yeah, let's, like, it was weird. Like, and also things would happen like this. Like me and my buddy Sal went, and we're having a great time. And then some girls were talking to him, and dude, Lionel Richie was playing. And
Which song?
it was, dude, I think we were like in the middle of like all night long.
Yeah, the best, the best.
And dude, and like the girls are like, oh, we're going back to our campsite. Come. And my buddy Sal's like, yo, I've never seen Lionel Richie, and he is like, dude, he had maybe, I think that year, like 120,000 people attended the festival. He probably had about 30,000 people in front of his stage. When was the last time Lionel Richie had 30,000 people listening to him sing a song at once?
He still fucking draws people. I'll tell
Dude,
you.
he was like on fire though. Like you could just
I
tell
will
the
go
energy
see
in
him.
the house. He
I will
was
go
like,
see him today. Tonight. I will go see him
So you're
tonight.
saying that you got cock-blocked by Lionel Richie?
Well, no,
No.
I was there with a girl, so I brought a girl with me because that was my third time at Bonnaroo. I'd learned my lesson.
He's like, I want to have sex while we're here.
And,
So
yeah, and so like this girl was talking to him, and she's like, "Come back to our campsite," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna finish out this Lionel Richie set though," and like that's the kind of environment, like, dude, you're like. It's like one of those music festivals.
It's
where
that good.
You're seeing everybody you've never that's like Lionel Richie's music. Like I grew up with because of my parents. Or
Yeah.
something.
Fuck
And,
yeah.
dude. So I was just having the time of my life, and dude, like he wrote like every single
Everything,
song. I'm
everything.
like, what? He's like, we're gonna close out with a song I wrote with my best friend Michael Jackson, and he like closes out with "We Are the World."
yeah. So I actually met Lionel Richie. So my former father-in-law was the chief of police in Old Westbury. So I used to do a lot of private security with his cops and stuff. And there's a guy by the name of Steven Schoenfeld. that lives in Old Westbury. So the Old Westbury Country Club, the university out there, and then this guy's property are all equal-sized properties right next to each other.
Yeah.
So this guy's like in the top 15 of Forbes' top 50. This personal guy, this guy, that's how much fucking money he has. So he decides he's going to get married. So he has the police force of Old Westbury come in and do private security for his wedding. So I got the invitation, and it was fucking ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. This guy actually owns his own golf course. His own private golf course, designed by Jack Nicklaus.
What?
Designed by Jack Nicklaus. Like,
The professional golf?
Yeah, the legendary golfer. Yeah. Designed his golf course that he plays on.
This is truly like real fuck you money.
This is unbelievable. This is people that have money, like ridiculous, ungodly amounts of money, work for him. Like that's the type of money this guy has.
Like rich people I knew growing up, like weren't even on his like would be like
he's got people that work for him that are worth $100 million probably.
Oh, easy.
We have a guy like out and I'm interrupting you, Lionel Richie, but we have a guy out in I grew up in Smithtown and head of the harbor. They call the place the Owl's Nest, dude. Like, and all the guys, I used to work for public safety, and all the guys at public safety would do private security for him. Mm-hmm. The guy's guest house is like 3 times the size of my parents' house. The gatehouse.
It's insane.
Sorry.
Yeah, that same thing. This guy Schoenfeld, his groundskeeper's house was probably, I'm gonna say, a $200 million mansion, and that was his groundskeeper's house.
Yeah,
fucking ridiculous. So, he literally hired Lionel Richie to come in and perform. And not like a song or two. He played for 2 hours.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that had to cost a couple mil.
Hours he fucking played. And like, super nice guy too. Like, came up, was shaking all our hands. Like, how you guys do?
He was a rich man that night. Because I feel like if you ask a celebrity to like do your wedding or something like that,
they're gonna hit you with that. They're gonna hit you with that big number too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not the number that they're hitting. Like I forget what's like whatever. Ticketmaster, whatever they're like, live, whatever. Like they're not hitting them with the same number.
It's usually 4 times the amount. I have a friend that DJs, and his like one night rate is about $40K to $50K. And if he gets hired to do bar mitzvahs once in a while, or like. I don't know what the Arabs have some equivalent, and for whatever reason he gets flown out to do Arab parties a lot, and he's like, I fucking fly to Dubai or like Abu Dhabi or wherever over there, and I go from playing one night in Ibiza where there's like 30,000 people at like Amnesia or whatever partying their asses off, and then I get on a private jet, I go to Bahrain, and I'm playing for like 14-year-old girls and her father that like digs my music, and he's like, it's so fucking awkward, but then he charges like $200K for like 2 hours, and then everybody else it's between like 30 and like 50K. But you're not going to fly to Bahrain to play for a bunch of 15-year-old girls if you're not getting paid, because that obviously sucks. And he's like, it's so awkward. He's like, nobody dances. He's like, I just up there, I fucking play like the set that I played the night before. I shake a few hands with the parents.
Got the smoke machine going.
That's it.
Yeah.
Some strobe lights.
And then there's Ali out in the middle of the dance floor and his like
drunk as fuck. His wife is embarrassed.
He's like $5,000 shoes, doing rails of coke, doing axe kicks in the middle of the dance floor by himself.
The first time in her life, she's happy to be wearing a burqa. Yeah. She's like, thank God no one can see my face right now.
That's not my husband. Not my husband. Nope.
So Lionel Richie, nice guy.
Oh yeah, super nice guy. Like, but it was unbelievable. Just they were like, oh, there's a special guest coming in. I'm like, who the fuck is a special guest? Like, and then he walks through the door, and we're like, what the like, holy shit! Like, how do you?
That's like jaw drop status. If Lionel Richie walks in, like, I don't know, I might faint. None
of us fainted, but we were all like,
Eric, I never would have expected this about you, but you like love Lionel Richie.
He's a fanboy.
He really is.
I'm a little kind of caught off guard by it, because I feel like if I was at Bonnaroo and Lionel Richie was killing his set, and some girl was like, "Hey, you want to come back and fuck me?" I'm going to fuck that girl.
Nah, nope.
I'm walking away from Lionel Richie.
Dude, I don't know, dude. If you were there in that moment, it was like...
It was magical, probably.
Yeah, dude. He was just feeling the crowd. The crowd was feeling him. It was like one of those moments.
I get that there's like a feeling involved, and I didn't feel that, but just my...
You can't deny magic, Dave.
My take on Lionel Richie is such that I would walk away from
Vagina is rarely magical.
Yeah,
Magic. What's his name? Lionel Richie. Always magical.
That's true.
You feel a lot more stronger about Lionel Richie than I do.
I just pictured looking up and dancing on the ceiling and getting all excited.
Yo, it's a classic song.
That is a good song. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's a dude. He has so many songs like "Hello."
It's a good one.
Dude, we should just do a
Well, he became
podcast
a
about
meme.
Lionel Richie.
He became a meme.
Well, with
The hello.
The hello.
That guy- So that it's fucked up is that that's probably what more millennials know him for.
Yeah,
is that
definitely,
meme.
definitely, and that, but that's like good for them. Like it's almost like a staple of your career now to become like a hit meme. Like
Yeah.
because like dude, it started with like these nobodies. It started with people's school pictures, like Bad Luck Brian. Like this is like these are just like Scumbag Steve. These were just regular dudes, and I guarantee like instantly once like marketing firms realized this was a powerful force, they were like, dude, it's so funny. Like you watch
There's
shithead
meme factories.
like those meme guys like Shithead Steve, all the super popular memers. Like dude, like the new Ninja Turtles movie that nobody gives a fuck about is coming out, and yet all of those guys are putting out Ninja Turtle memes the same fucking day. I'm like, dude, this is a fucking scheme. It's a
Yeah, of
fucking,
course.
it's an advertising scheme. I'm like,
Everything becomes
dude,
advertising.
Dude, like one guy had one with a scooter, and it was like a reference to like some new burger at Jack in the Box or something like that. I'm like, this is just like shameless. This isn't even like.
There's whole like companies and think tanks dedicated to memes.
That's
it's-
insane,
They're
dude.
factories at this point.
Like I just make like
It's the
I see,
new
I see something and I
advertising.
go, I gotta meme this because it's gonna be funny.
Yeah. I will say
well, it's
that
become a new form of advertisement.
Yeah.
the speed that some of these memes get out is fucking unbelievable. Like you'll be watching, I watch a lot of sports, so that's what I'll equate it to mostly is, there'll be something that happens in a game, and within 15 or 20 minutes, there's fucking memes all over it, like
Yeah.
on the internet.
Yeah.
The Steve
crazy.
Harvey one, when Steve Harvey fucked up with Miss
Oh,
America
yeah.
or whatever, the memes were out within like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Dude,
It's unbelievable.
that's like Stranger Things launched, and like that day, there was
Oh,
like
yes.
everybody fell in love with Steve. I don't know if you guys watch Stranger Things. It's great. It was definitely
Steve's the cop? Is he the cop?
No.
Steve's the
he's the high school
heartthrob.
yeah, he's the boyfriend in the first
Oh,
season.
okay. The one who gets
And-
beat up.
Yeah, and everybody fucking hates his guts season 1, and then season 2, like he like dude, like there's so many memes about him being a single mom. They're fucking hilarious, dude.
I guess I'm not that far into the show yet to understand that.
Dude, I love that show because like that's such a huge risk. You're making a show for adults starring children.
yeah.
Like that's an adult show. You can't show that show to kids.
You know what though? It's such an homage to like 80s pop culture.
Yeah.
So like I feel like so many people get into it and really appreciate it. Like anyone that's, I would say 27 or so and older to like into like their 40s, maybe
Yeah.
even 50s.
It's got an 80s movie.
I mean, I wasn't even
vibe
born in
to
the
it as
80s,
well.
but I mean, I was born in 88, but like I didn't live through the 80s, but like, going into the early 90s, it was
but
the same
you got
shit.
the same feel, the same
Well,
vibe.
the thing that I get out of Stranger Things, to me, it has a vibe of almost like some of like the older '80s
Well, it does.
adventure
They-
movies.
if you-
like,
Oh, yeah,
Don't
Goonies.
Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Goonies. It has that type of a vibe. and
if you
that's
read up
why-
on it,
yeah.
they literally did that. They created it like I think it was like the music and the opening.
the music
scenes.
they nailed.
Well,
the score
well,
to that is
well,
one of the
they-
best
they,
ever.
They were literally like they're specifically referencing a
Oh, yeah,
classic '80s movie.
You can watch YouTube
in
videos
each
where
one
they
of
go
them.
like they show a scene from Stranger Things and then they show the parallel from Goonies or they show
Yes.
the parallel from
Oh, really?
The Empire Strikes Back.
They were 100% going for
they
that.
fucking
like,
nailed
yeah,
it.
They did. They did.
Dude,
an
it's like
awesome
this
job.
bizarre thing, like, because, like, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like, there's a guy, the Nerd Writer. He's on YouTube.
yeah, I've seen that.
And, like, he just talks about, like, self-referential and, like, how, like, our society's just constantly, like, referencing itself back. We're almost losing, like, unique original content because all we love as consumers is we love to have things referenced to something before. Like, even when a comedian tells a joke, you love it when he brings it all the way back to that joke he told 20
The
minutes
joke
ago.
grenade.
Dude,
Dude.
think about Family Guy. Family Guy references everything.
Yeah.
Everything, and it's probably one of the biggest shows like ever.
Like here's like a classic example: Indiana Jones. So Indiana Jones, he pulls the gun, he shoots the guy. The guy comes out with those swords, doing all the sword crazy swords. All right, next movie, which is actually a prequel. So it's not even.
Yes.
Guy comes out, the guys come out with swords again, and he reaches for his gun, and it's not there. and we all laugh because we know the last movie he pulled out the gun and just shot the guy, and so like, and it's just like. It's like almost this stupid thing where we're like, the last movie. I enjoyed that movie.
I enjoy this one now too.
There's a weird. I listened to. I don't remember the name. I was big into audiobooks for a while. I can't remember the book, but there's a psychologist who talked about how humans have this ridiculous attachment to nostalgia, like.
Nostalgia's death.
Well, it's actually
I won't even engage in conversation with like my family regarding nostalgic things. I get furious. If my wife brings up
Eric,
nostalgia, I flip out. I'm just like, no, this feels like death. I don't want to die, and I walk away. I can't do it.
I want to be the most interesting man on planet Earth, but you are the most interesting man on planet Earth.
I appreciate that.
You have some of the most unique views on life. Like, so what do you hate about nostalgia?
He's the outlier that proves the point.
I feel like nostalgia makes you reminisce about things that have passed when you should be moving forward towards the future and making life better. I hate shows that reference other shows too. Family Guy, the other one with the nerds on like
Big Bang
Theory.
I fucking hate
I hate
that
that
show.
show, too. That
I
show's
hate
not good.
there's a whole bunch BoJack Horseman, all of these shows that make these little obscure
step
references.
off BoJack
No,
Horseman.
you know what? I think that's the best out of all of them, but I hate shows that make obscure references, not even obscure, any references, because they lead the viewer to be like, oh, I know that, I'm smart. I fucking despise
So
that.
you're definitely not a Rick and Morty fan.
I've never even seen it. But I don't.
love Rick
Well,
and Morty.
that was the whole point of what this book
I-
was breaking down. It's about how
No, I know, and I hate that, and I
ridiculous
despise
attachment
it.
to nostalgia.
I despise it. You know what the lowest form of conversation is? Oh, remember when? Remember when? The absolute lowest form of conversation. When I hang out with all of the friends, and then
Hey,
I
remember
had
when you went off about how much you hate nostalgia?
I'm going to talk about it even more right now. Thanks, Dave. I have a lot of friends that I worked with over the years doing different things, and some of them have never left where I left them 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
but-
And when I get back together with them,
Eric
all
has
it
trigger
is,
points. He gets real fired up about
Oh,
this.
no, I can see this.
all it is a conversation about, oh,
I know
remember
exactly
the
what
time
you're
you
talking
did this?
about, dude.
Remember the time you did that? Remember when we did this? And that's not the type of conversation I like to have with my peers. And you guys all know me. What do I like to speak about? Let's speak about making our lives better. What are our plans for the future? What are we going to do when we get there? What are your new ideas? What are my new ideas? Let's bring more people onto the podcast that we're unfamiliar with so we can get their ideas. That's where I like to move in this like forward progression, upward, to making ourselves better. And I feel like if you ever take the time to reminisce about anything even like remotely nostalgic, unless it's with your grandmother, die.
Okay, but hold on. So I know the exact guy you're talking about. Like me and my buddy, we played football together in high school.
Glory
All
days.
he wanted to talk
Al
about.
Bundy.
Dude, you
Peaked
remember
in-
that?
peaked in
Dude,
high school.
Dude, do you remember that fucking sack I had against fucking Newfield High School? You know, like, yeah, and I know the guy you're talking about, but okay, are we allowed to visit? Like, can you
No.
can you visit and not stay?
You can visit,
You know what
and
I'm
you want to
saying?
know what's
Like-
happening when you're visiting? You're sacrificing precious time that could be the definitive defining factor that makes you better. That 20 minutes that you're going to spend, or half hour, or
You're
1
living,
hour.
You're living very in the next moment.
I live in the future.
Eric
But you
Ott,
can't then-
man of the future.
I live in
We've
the
had
future.
this conversation before on the podcast, and we
You have to find a good balance. Like,
yeah,
you can't live
because
just in the
otherwise
future,
you
like,
are a
you're-
goddamn
you're-
robot.
Yeah.
No
I mean,
balance.
dude,
You're a
don't even
robot.
lie. The greatest
No
thing
balance.
about fighting is that it's the moment. You're in there, and there's just like there's nothing else.
But
in the
he's
world
not even
but
living
that.
in the moment. He's
No,
living
it's
in
after.
the future.
It's
What?
after.
Really?
It's after. The greatest moment about fighting is the 4 weeks following where you feel like you're on ecstasy, cocaine, Jesus juice, and all those drugs all put together, and it doesn't wear off.
I mean,
I have a feeling like your kids are going to change your viewpoint on nostalgia because you're going to miss the time when they were little.
Oh, 100%. That's why I spend so much more time at home. Everybody asks me like, "Oh, Eric, why don't you work full time? Why don't you do all these different things? Why don't you?" And I'm like, I don't want to. I want to spend as much time as I can while my kids are with them while they're young, because I know that one of the regrets that you hear people say on their deathbeds is, "I wish I would have spent more time with my children when my kids are young." So I spend an asinine amount of time with both of my kids. And you know what?
That's good.
Maybe I will remember.
and that's a good dad thing.
And when I'm about to die, I'll remember that, and then I'll be nostalgic
you're-
when I'm on my deathbed. I'll be nostalgic on my deathbed.
I'm gonna let you know a little secret. It's gonna be way before then because there are
Yeah.
gonna be things that they start to do and you're gonna be like, oh shit, I remember when Max was this little and he did.
You're gonna
this
think about
and
the time
this.
when they couldn't do those
and
annoying.
and when you ever heard the DMT theory about dying?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a trip, huh? Maybe we're in that already.
That's why I've been trying to get DMT for a while.
That's
just
gonna
so
be
I can
hell
get
for
myself
Eric. Is
there.
what it is. He's like, hurry up and fucking
Dude,
kill
well,
me already.
Well, they're saying like, because like DMT, like psychedelics like that. Well, DMT's in your brain. It's what makes you dream. And
It's what you
say
produce before
when
you
you're
die.
dying, like your brain just dumps all your DMT.
Well, it does.
that's in
Yeah, your brain floods with DMT.
And like you just like you'll be dreaming for what will seem.
That's
like
going to be his
infinite
hell.
amount of time.
That's going to be his hell. He's going to be stuck in
Being
nostalgia, fucking purgatory,
What's the worst
waiting
part is-
to die
Eric, the
and
worst
not being
part-
able to do it.
The worst part about it is you're going to think about this moment when you're like,
I probably will. I actually had a really interesting experience.
this is purgatory. This is your nightmare.
I had a really pertaining to the DMT release before death. I had an interesting experience about 10 years ago with my cousin's grandmother. Not my grandmother, the one that we're related to, but my cousin on his mom's side who married into the family. And I was at their house, and she was like at the end on like hospice care where people were coming to their house, and we were having like a family gathering over there, and they'd wheeled her out of her room on her wheelchair, and she had like real bad cancer, and she ended up dying the next night. Yeah. And they rolled her out, and I was wearing a light blue hat, and I had a discussion with her. Her name was Mrs. Ribeiro, and I was talking to her. I'm 34 now. I was probably in my early 20s, and she said, "Oh, your baby blue hat is luminescent. I've never seen a hat like that before that glows." And we had like, I knew that she was like not right. She's at the end. She has bad terminal cancer. She's in her 70s, and she had a discussion with me about how I was glowing. And it was essentially like she was having like a psychedelic type experience that until I'd heard that DMT story and how your brain releases the DMT before you die, I never made a connection. And at that point, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's what Mrs. Ribeiro, what Linda was seeing at that time we were having the conversation, because I felt like I was having a conversation with somebody that was on acid, basically.
Dude, have you ever heard the TED Talk? There's a woman who talks about she had I want to say a tumor in her brain, or what is it when there's a blood clot in your brain? What do they call it?
Aneurysm.
She had an aneurysm, and it ended up being like the size of a golf ball. And dude, woke up, and like the way she described, and she studies brains for a living, neuroscientist. I couldn't think of that word for a second. She's a neuroscientist, and like she had an aneurysm, and like dude, she's like, I woke up, I felt a little weird. She's like, I got on my Stairmaster, and she starts describing it, and I'm like, this is a psychedelic trip. She's talking about her hands looking like claws, like they didn't look like her hands. And then she's like, all right, I don't feel well. I'm gonna go take a shower. And then she goes to the shower, and like she talks about like feeling so much bigger than herself. Like her mind couldn't stay inside her body. I'm like, dude, this is a psychedelic trip she's discussing.
Sounds like your balls off.
Yeah, and
fucking
then, dude,
rolling face right now,
dude. And then it was getting worse and worse and worse. And she's like, I knew I had to call somebody. I forget the woman's name, but it's a TED Talk, and it's about an aneurysm. I'm sure you could find it if you YouTube it. Yeah. And she like goes through her Rolodex. Remember Rolodexes? She's going through her Rolodex. She doesn't recognize the symbols. She doesn't even. So she can't even. She's like, how the fuck do you dial 911? Like she couldn't and then dude, she ended up calling a friend by accident somehow. Like by memory, typed in a friend's phone number, and they called an ambulance for her. She ended up living and everything. But like what she was describing, I was like, dude, that sounds like a psychedelic trip if I've ever heard one. Like that's crazy. Like that's what it is. It's just like this complete change of perspective that happens to you when shit's going sour, when you're going south.
It's fucking crazy.
It's part of.
I'm
like,
excited. Like not to die, but to experience that. I'm like an experienced person. I like to experience things, so
that you can never think about them ever again.
You know what? I won't say that I don't think about them. If they're good, I try to recreate them if possible. But as I've gotten older,
But isn't that a form of nostalgia?
I don't think so. I think that like reminiscing about them with no intent
It's an
of
odd
recreating
form of nostalgia.
them. An odd form. I like that. Yeah. I think that like thinking about them with no intent to recreate is nostalgic. I don't know. I just don't like to be one of those people that's like, oh, the good old days, because everybody knows somebody that talks about like, oh, the good old days. Oh, back when I had my Mustang and I had all my hair and I picked up ladies.
You don't have to see. That's the thing is you don't have to live in the past, but to reminisce about it sometimes.
I think it's cathartic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
to experience it and to.
I don't like to give myself that type of self gratification.
Yeah, well, because like again, like that's we're discussing something that's part of the human experience. You try your best to not have any of that.
Like Eric, you're like you seem like the kind of guy like
it's beneficial or not beneficial for my future. It's one or the other.
You're way too much.
Well,
of a
see, that's the
pragmatist.
thing is reminiscing sometimes can be beneficial to your
Yeah,
future.
if you can't look back and see things that you maybe made mistakes about
exactly
and
right.
correct them.
I've already overanalyzed everything I've made a mistake about.
Well, that's a form of nostalgia.
Yes,
It's not
yeah,
always.
exactly.
It's just
You're
a negative
equating.
nostalgia.
I understand why you do what you like. It makes sense, and you're talking about like a very
I have them in my
loser
book.
mindset.
I
That's
have them in
nostalgia
my
right
book.
there.
Nostalgia.
That's nostalgia.
You're
No,
just
not
thinking
the
that you're
garbage.
you're
Yeah.
attaching your view to it to like the losers who sit and talk about how they've never progressed past the point when it was awesome.
But if you learn from that and you keep moving forward from it,
There's nothing
that's
wrong
the
with
benefit.
sitting
Yeah.
back and appreciating
to
good
sit back
experiences.
and just reminisce about a fucking sack that you had fucking 17 years ago.
Think about the best
There's
blowjob
nothing
you
good
ever
about
got.
it.
You don't want to relive that. You don't want to think about that. I do.
Yeah, but then you might doom yourself to fucking reaching out back to that
I'm with
person.
you, Eric, on this one. I don't
Yeah.
reminisce about past sexual
Yeah, that was
experiences.
not. Yeah, I feel like
I'm not gonna
you
lie.
you
Once in a
lost me on that
while,
one, too.
if I'm like really high and drunk, I like might find myself back in them by accident, like not on purpose. Like, oh, this was like that time. That was real good. Like, I don't know, but I don't know.
I think like I don't know. Like how do you take? So you've been competing. How do you take a loss?
I pretend it didn't happen. I move forward.
Yeah. So
I analyze what went wrong.
Yeah, yeah, you take
correct
what-
that, and I move forward and never think about it ever again. And I learned how to do that from probably the most successful fighter that I know that had a real bad knockout when he was ranked number 6 in the UFC or 5th in his division.
Flair.
No, Dennis Bermudez actually.
Okay.
And he came to Long Island MMA on Monday, and on Monday he.
What's happening, guys?
What's going on, dude?
CO detector's going off in here.
Hold on a sec. Should I put this? I'm gonna put this on pause.
We are currently